The Oni Brutes are the frontline monsters of K-pop demon hunters. Hulking giants with tusks jutting from their jaws and massive spiked clubs in hand. They embody sheer physical terror. They're designed to smash, to overwhelm, to represent violence as a force of nature. But these aren't just generic big monsters. They echo the guishin of fallen soldiers, spirits of men who died violently in battle, often betrayed by leaders or abandoned without rights. In Korea's history, especially during the Imjin War, tales spread of soldiers' spirits rising in rage, shaking mountains or haunting villages near mass graves. Combine that with the imagery of the Oni, giants with iron clubs in Japanese lore, and you get the Oni Brutes. They are war without honor, warriors stripped of humanity, rage given form. Their tusks reduce them to beasts, their glowing cracks show the world itself breaking around them, and their clubs become the most primitive symbol of dominance. They're not random brutes. They are corrupted echoes of Korea's own history of war and restless spirits. Where the Oni Brutes crush, the trickster goblins mock. They're small, wiry, bug-eyed and grotesque. They don't attack with raw power. They swarm. They laugh. They destabilize. Their roots lie in the Dokkaebi, the most famous goblins of Korean folklore. Dokkaebi were pranksters with magical clubs, said to appear at night, to play tricks on humans. Sometimes they rewarded honesty. Other times they punished greed or cowardice. One famous tale tells of a greedy man who tricked a Dokkaebi to gain riches, only to be cursed with a life of misery. In K-pop demon hunters, that duality is erased. The trickster goblins are stripped of nuance, no longer playful, only malicious. They represent ridicule turned into a weapon. Where the Oni Brutes embody physical force, the tricksters embody humiliation. They show how corruption doesn't always kill outright. Sometimes it destroys by making dignity itself a joke. Looming in silence, the hat-wearing enforcers are unmistakable. Tall, rigid figures topped with the got, the black-brimmed hat of Chosun dynasty officials. They don't scurry or smash. They command by their presence, standing as twisted authority figures. In Korean tradition, figures in hats often symbolize guardianship or status. The Josung Saja, the messengers of the underworld, were sometimes depicted with wide hats as they escorted souls. These were not demons, but guides. Here, that symbolism is inverted. The hat-wearing enforcers are corrupted gatekeepers. Instead of guiding souls safely, they maintain demonic hierarchy. They are the bureaucrats of hell, a parody of Korea's Confucian order, where officials who once represented stability are shown as shadows enforcing chaos. This isn't just a monster design, it's a cultural commentary. Even order can be corrupted when those in authority betray their purpose. Above the brutes stand the Oni leaders, larger, more ornate, with jewelry, fur, and multiple glowing eyes across their bodies. They radiate dominance. They're not mere soldiers, they're generals. In East Asian mythology, great demons often ruled legions of spirits. In Korea, corrupt rulers and aristocrats were sometimes remembered in folklore as restless spirits, cursed to haunt the world they once controlled. Their greed and abuse turned them into demons after death. The Oni leaders embody that tradition. Their extra eyes symbolize surveillance, power that watches everything, not to protect, but to dominate. Their adornments are marks of corrupted nobility, rulers who flaunt wealth while spreading misery. These demons don't just lead by strength, they lead through intimidation, reminding us that corruption isn't only chaos from below, it also flows downward from those who misuse authority. Few demons are as haunting as the Soul-Suckers, shadowy figures that pull glowing blue breath from their victims. They kill not by flesh but by spirit. This is straight out of folklore. In Korean tradition, the an or soul could be stolen in sleep or in death. Ghosts like the Mongdal Guishin, spirits of young men who died unmarried, were feared for draining vitality from the living. And the Josung Saja, grim reapers, were believed to arrive in silence to claim souls with a single touch. In K-pop demon hunters, this lore becomes literal. The blue breath is the an leaving the body, consumed by demons. And in the bathhouse, aquatic variations twist the theme further. Demons of steam and water that suffocate instead of stab. The Soul-Suckers represent the deepest fear in Korean folklore, not death itself, but the theft of one's very soul. The bathhouse scene reveals the water demons, Amphibian-skinned, with glowing yellow eyes and dripping hair, they crawl from pools and steam like predators. They echo the Molguishan, the water ghosts of Korean lore. Molguishan were souls of the drowned, feared for latching onto the living and dragging them under. Fishermen told tales of hands rising from the depths, pulling entire boats to ruin. Even bathhouses carried superstitions, liminal spaces where humans were vulnerable, and spirits might creep close. By staging the ambush in a bathhouse, K-pop demon hunters draws directly from this lore. The water demons corrupt the very act of cleansing. They turn vulnerability into doom, showing that even water, symbol of life and renewal, can be twisted into death. The crawlers, also called swarmers, are faceless, pale bodies that pour out of the cracks in endless numbers. They crawl on all fours, swarming across the battlefield without individuality or identity. Their design recalls the hungry ghosts of Buddhist tradition, cursed spirits with endless appetites and bodies that could never be satisfied. They also mirror Korea's cultural concept of Han, collective grief and resentment that multiplies until it consumes entire communities. In K-pop demon hunters, the crawlers symbolize that exact collapse. They are not individuals, but a tide of faceless despair, humanity itself broken into a mob of shame. We see their horror in the subway swarm, where sheer numbers threaten to overwhelm Huntrix. But they also appear again in the final battle. Here their purpose shifts from attackers to fuel. Kima devours them in masses, absorbing their bodies and their corruption to unleash his final catastrophic fire breath attack. That blast would have consumed Rumi entirely if Jinu had not stepped in and taken the full force of it. This dual role, as both endless fodder and sacrificial fuel, shows the crawlers as the lowest rung in the demon hierarchy. They are expendable, faceless, and even disposable to Kima himself, who uses them as fuel to magnify his own power. The Saja Boys are perhaps the strangest class. At first glance, they're idols, stylish, magnetic, full of charisma. But their performance is a weapon, and their glamour hides corruption. Their very name ties them to the Josung Saja, the reapers of folklore. But instead of guides, they are predators. Their battlefield is not a graveyard, but a stage. They are the twisted mirror of Huntrix, where Huntrix uses music and dance for unity. The Saja Boys weaponize performance for domination. They're the corrupted vision of idol culture, turning fandom into a trap. The symbolism is clear. They show that even art, beauty, and charisma, things meant to uplift, can be twisted into tools of corruption when sincerity is lost. The most tragic demons are the fallen. Jinu stands as the clearest example. Once human, now enslaved, his body cracked with violet markings. His corrupted lines parody the HonMoon, not flowing as protection but fracturing as chains. The film hints that Rumi's father shares this fate. Though remembered as a demon, his fall may have begun in humanity. Folklore is filled with such warnings. The tale of Janghwa and Hongrian tells of sisters wronged so deeply in life that their spirits returned as vengeful ghosts. The lesson was clear. When grief or injustice festers, it twists into something monstrous. The fallen embody that same truth. They are humans overtaken by Han, shame or corruption, until their humanity collapses. Jinu's tragedy is that he mirrors the hunters, marked by the same cosmic flow but inverted into bondage. He reminds us that anyone, even the noble, can fall. This class is the warning of K-pop demon hunters. Demons are not only born, they are made. Above all others stands Kima. His colossal face made of fire and shadow looms as the embodiment of despair. His name itself reveals his nature. Ki means ghost. Ma means evil spirit or devil. Together, Kima, the supreme demon. In Korean shamanism, balance between realms was everything. Rituals were performed to keep human and spirit worlds in harmony. Kima represents what happens when that balance collapses. He is hunger without end, shame without redemption, authority without compassion. Folklore often warned of rulers corrupted into spirits, their greed binding them to the earth. Kima is the ultimate extension of that idea. He is king not because of bloodline, but because he embodies corruption itself. Where the HonMoon seals with harmony, Kima unseals with despair. He is the antithesis of balance, domination made flesh. The final class of demons in K-pop demon hunters are the demon-blooded, also known as hybrids. These are beings born carrying both human and demon lineage. Rumi is the clearest example. Her body is marked with jagged purple lines that resemble the corrupted cracks of demons like Jinu, climbing across her arms, shoulders, and neck. These markings identify her as part demon from birth. Unlike the fallen, who begin as human and are later corrupted, Rumi was born with demon traits inherited from her father, who is remembered as a demon himself. Unlike the brutes, crawlers, or other classes, she was not spawned from the cracks. She represents a separate origin, a half-demon living in the human world. Her hybrid nature is emphasized in one pivotal scene. Kima explains to Jinu that he has no power over her. Every other demon in the story, from the lowest crawler to Jinu himself, lives under Kima's influence. But Rumi stands apart. She is marked by demon blood, yet not bound by the king of demons. This makes the demon-blooded unique as a class. They are not products of corruption or cracks, but of inheritance. They carry demon markings, but their existence is outside of Kima's control. Rumi shows us that not every demonic form in K-pop demon hunters shares the same origin. Some are spawned from the earth, some are forged through corruption, and some, like the demon-blooded, are born to humans in the human world.